send it on to you, tuck it in behind me. Better to go the other way actually. But
Okay, yeah, switch it to my camera.
I think if you take the
Because
bottom
it will
of the
be,
cable out the bottom of
just
the
so that I can see
find
it.
the cable.
Yeah.
Where is it? Oh, yeah, there you go.
Because I'm going to turn my computer around, and then but just before we start, I'm just going to run Dr Ganesh through a little process. How's our Wi-Fi connection? Is it? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay, now.
We've had no droplets. Yeah, I can see the video.
That can just go in
I
your
can
pocket.
see us.
Yeah, maybe that one's.
And then, no, I'm quite comfortable now.
Does it need to be outside or can it go in?
No, yeah, just check it.
Well, if he's not going to check it, then I don't need a jacket. Well, I had my suit jacket in the car, you see. But it's all wrapped up and packed away.
Good.
Let's see if that works.
So what am I looking at? That chair?
Yeah, I'll move there. I'm going to open this up
sure.
here. Then we're going to play a little bit of a 2-minute track. And then I'll move there. I'll introduce that I'm in your kitchen, in your dining room, and just say a little bit of a kia ora, and then we'll come back. But so we've got a little track. We spoke to the tourism providers, and they feel like there needs to be investment in Tourism New Zealand and a marketing campaign over the world because we can't compete. We need investment to attract the tourist dollar to New Zealand. And they've all, actually 3 of them said they need to fund, the government needs to put more money into New Zealand Tourism New Zealand to do that. But
sure.
these are the only specific examples. And then we've got 2 tracks, that's that one. And we have our bus security track, which we'll just throw to. So there's this whole justice issue. But we can just sort of merge that with the courts.
Yeah.
But everything else is going to be quite general. And just it's a pre.
Yeah.
What are you feeling? How well's this government done? I'm listening. Oh, that's all right. No. Is it going to name me? Oh, yeah, do that. Yep. Cool. I'm just looking at this.
Dr. Ganesh.
You have to, you have to think. So I'm going to open where we are, and then I'm just going to have a little chat. Kia ora, Dr. Ganesh. We'll just think, and then I'll throw to that, and then I can move there, and then we'll just go for it. And then when we're finished, I'll throw to one track, a justice track, and then I'll sort of talk like safety, security, how much does the government need, can we afford for a safe society? And you just...
Sure.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Yep, that's perfect. I can see that. As long as you got, I just said before, I'm chief economist, but then I was like, people get feelings. Best economist in New Zealand.
Well, currently I'm just...
In my opinion,
No, that's fine, but I'm just an economist and I'm not associated with anything. I'm not employed or anything like that. So you better not label. You could formally, if you want to, previously, chair of...
I'm looking...
Whatever you want to call me.
I'm just going to call you economist.
That'll do.
That looks great.
Can I check you in this chair?
Yep, to
sure
see this.
Move there, it's all good.
Oh, she's going to fix it. You just have to move from me to us 2, and then she'll play the track, and then I'll go over there. And then
But can we rehearse this when you sit here?
Oh, can we rehearse this?
I haven't seen you sitting in this chair at
all.
all.
Oh, okay, I'll go there now. Oh, it's all complicated when one wants to go live. I see there's no point pre-recording because our corridor's going to change tomorrow.
Sure.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
If you're looking... Yeah, if you just look at Roihana.
Oh, sure.
Because this will be like the interview mode.
Yeah.
It's interview mode, so we can still extract it. But I want all of our audience to just hear what you have to say.
Sure.
Without being edited. Because I don't.
I'm sure you'll edit it appropriately.
But when we make the little story, don't you worry, we'll get it.
That's pretty good. And you were just
Am I all right here or on here, or doesn't it matter?
Oh, let's
Okay,
have a look. So you sorted me, I'm good?
I think the furthest you can tuck into the table is the best for me. Yeah.
Can I move the chair?
Yeah.
Yep, move forward, so just as long as you're comfortable.
No,
What's-
No, that's good. And then you'll just have to move your laptop, I guess. 'Cause it was...
Oh yeah, no, I want to move it over there.
Yeah, sure. All good.
So just as long, so that's your frame. Yep, great. There we go. There's your key.
So I'll be, can you see this? So
Yeah, we're watching.
I'll be there and then interviews there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All good.
So this is going back to Hamilton to come back to here to go out to this to the world. And you know, once upon a time when I had a million resources when I was at TVNZ, now we don't. But our impact is on digitally is
Sure.
This is really loud as well. We might hear it during the interview.
Hold on, I'm turning it down. No, I've already tested it.
It's like blasting.
Talk again now, Shez.
She's on off.
I've turned it down.
It's better because I could hear it before. Yeah.
That's why we do tests. Otherwise, I go, what are those Māoris up to? Oh, I love it. Yep, that looks good.
Okay, I'm rolling.
You just cue me when we're ready. Tuia ki runga, tuia ki raro, tuia ki te herenga tangata, tēnā rā koutou katoa. Nau mai I tēnei atu I te whanganui ātara, kei te kāinga hau o Dr Ganesh Nana, e mihi ana ki a koutou, no te mea he rangi nui e haere ake ana mō tātou katoa e pāna ki te tahua nā rere. Ko hara mai au ki te kōrero ki te mātanga ohanga, ki te whiriwhiri ngā kaupapa, he oi anō. But just want to welcome everybody on behalf of Aukaha Tuia, our collective Taiuru News and our reo irirangi. No mai ki tēnei pāho mataora. Small live here, having a bit of a kōrero with Dr Ganesh Nana. I'm actually in his dining room, so thank you very much for having us. I'm very excited because we get to have a kōrero over the next couple of days. Sure. When we used to do Q&A, I only just used to bring you in and you had your say and then you left again.
Exactly.
So this time, very excited to see what we have to do. But firstly, Doctor, we'll come back to you shortly.
Sure.
I want to throw to this track. This is a track that we did on tourism, New Zealand tourism, sure. Waiariki hot springs and spa in Rotorua, as well as some of our local tourism providers, are hoping that the government might invest in Tourism New Zealand, and let's see if that happens tomorrow. What they are saying is that the global tourism dollar is very competitive and we can't compete if we don't have investment. So let's hand it over to our reporter, Heni Timate Koiwi, who has this report on tourism.
Ko waiariki tēnei wāhi whakaratarata I te tūruhi, ka hihia ruku ki te wheako Māori, a puna wai nei.
Tourism is hugely important to Rotorua. You know, it's a birthplace of tourism. We've been hosting people for hundreds of years. For New Zealand, Aotearoa as a whole, it actually employs 1 in 9 people. Here at Rotorua, it's approximately 1 in 5. Tourism has been here for hundreds of years and it will remain here for hundreds of years into the future.
Ko Debbie Robertson tēnei e whakātū mai ana I te hiranga o te ahu tāpoi. Engari he mea whai take mā o te aroa whānui me whai take rainei ki te tahua pūtea.
With the budget announcements, I'm hopeful that there is additional funds allocated to Tourism New Zealand so they can focus on driving that kōrero, driving that message so that we can have that cut through. We're tucked away in the corner of the world. We are one of the safest destinations to travel to.
E ai tā te ripoata ohanga o te wā Morotorua, ia tau ka neke atu I te whārau manohunga tāpoi ka noho mai ki konei. Me te aha he 800 miliona tāra ka whakapaua ki te ohanga arohe.
We are up against some really stiff competition against the world. You know, the budgets that we have here for New Zealand to sell New Zealand to the world are smaller than those that are just selling one city in a destination globally.
Ko te nama toharite anō tā ia tūruhi I a rā whakapau moni, kei wainga I te rua ki te 350 tāra.
Funnily enough, I was at the only hot springs in England about a month ago, a place called Bath. They were original Roman baths, so it's got history going back a long time and they've excavated them and so on. The history is fantastic. In terms of the experience of the hot water there and the experience of the healing, there is hokey compared to here.
Tā Jean-Michel, kai pakihi tāpoi tike, ko ngā whea ko motuhake te tino whakaratarata I te manuhiri.
I was paying $450 in the UK and I got something that was a tenth of this. So I would say that it's very good value here, very good value.
Hoi anōra, hei tā wēnei wāhine o Florida, Amerika, ka nui te pai o te utu.
We're absolutely loving it,
yes,
right?
It's same.
So we had the opportunity to stay at a marae in Waiheke Island, and then we got to go to Mitai Village and see the performance there, and we were just absolutely taken away by how beautiful your culture is.
Sharing our cultural experiences, who we are as a people, our beautiful vistas, our landscapes, and from the North Island to the south, they are vastly different. We have so much to offer here in Aotearoa.
Hei tēnei taite, ka rongo I te tahua pūtea Nicola Willis, a pēnā raine ka whai hua te Rotorua nui a kahu, I tēnei, I tōna hu tāpoi. He ni te mate koiwi, mā Aukaha.
te reo, te take.
No mai, hoki mai e te iwi. There we had Debbie Robertson from the Waiariki Hot Pool and Spa, one of our world-leading sort of relaxation. Kind of could do with that right now, eh, Dr Ganesh? Anyway, how are you?
Oh, I'm good.
Can we start with tourism?
Sure.
Do you think there will be anything in budget, given we've heard from some tourism providers this morning? Sure. They want to see more investment in advertising to entice the world to come back to New Zealand, to come in the numbers that I think we can get to. What do you think is likely to happen?
Well, the signals are not great, although that word investment is critical. Although I'm not sure you'll see much in terms of short-term lift. Tourism is a scary world, obviously, with many others focusing on wanting to stay home in times of uncertainty, and especially around the globe, along with prices in terms of diesel, air fuel, all of that sort of thing. We're seeing air tickets going up. So it's a difficult ask to get people from other parts of the world to come here. The critical thing is investment. I think the element is whether we want to invest in marketing, or do we actually want to invest in our people to make sure that our tourism offer, the products that we offer, remain viable for the long haul. And so it's not just investment in those infrastructure, but also investment in our people. We need that workforce training, that investment in our people. And whether it's investment in New Zealand tourism, or dare I say in New Zealand Māori tourism, which we have been there for a long haul, always operated on the smell of an oily rag, forgive the metaphor, probably not appropriate in today's world, but that investment has got to be much more longer term focused around the products, but also around the sustainability of that offer. And that means investment in our people and the whenua that we have available for us. And that, unfortunately, I don't see any signals or signs that that's going to happen tomorrow, but who knows?
What do you think is going to happen? Like, tourism aside, is there anything positive on the horizon in terms of the budget?
Well, I think the signals are very strong about spending on investment rather than operating. And effectively, given we're 6 months out from an election, we cannot ignore that. The government will be looking for investment that they can announce in terms of things that people can see. So you're going to have investment in announcements about investment in buildings and that sort of infrastructure. We've already had the announcements, so I understand this morning, about a new court building in Rotorua. There'll be those sorts of things. So probably, maybe not courts, hopefully, but maybe hospitals, or maybe something that they can point to in terms of this is what we're doing. Some of it will be repackaged announcements of stuff that have already been announced, but that's normal. So that's the focus. Whether we'll actually have more investment in the people side of the world is where I'm a bit cynical in terms of the training, because that's long haul stuff. You know, we need new hospitals and we need new buildings, but we actually need the doctors and the nurses and the medical staff for those. And that's where the hard ask is, because that takes time to train those. And I don't see any signals in terms of this budget, in terms of announcing spending for that sort of training.
As an economist, what would your report card be if Minister Sanford really wants us to go back to, getting an A, let's go from an A to a Z? How would you, what letter in a report card would you give this government in terms of the way that it's driven our economy? Is it would you give it a good report?
It's a very disappointing 2 years or 2.5 years since they've taken over. But I think it reflects the last 30 years that we've had, which has been very short-term focused, very much focused on the fiscals or the government financial books. We've heard ad nauseum about how the government budget matters, its financial balance matters. Unfortunately, we haven't gone to the economic balance, and the difference between finance and economics is huge, but we've never focused on economics. It's all about finance, and if government gets its house in order, that's the metaphor we've always had, somehow that's going to miraculously turn into wealth for you and me. It sounds suspiciously too close to that phrase trickle down that we've heard so long for the last 30 years. Many of us have been waiting for a lot longer for that trickle down. It hasn't appeared. It's not going to appear in the past. It hasn't appeared in the last couple of years. It's not going to appear in the next couple of years. We've got to transition or translate or just be a lot more clever about what we mean about government and about the economy. It's more than just government spending. It's more than just about getting the government in balance. It is about investment, not just in the bricks and mortar, but in our people. And investment has got to be sustained over the long haul. We're talking about investment to deliver well-being for the next generation rather than today and tomorrow. And I know it's a hard ask, because many in our whānau are finding it difficult, undoubtedly, to put kai on the table for their whānau today. And that's the difficult thing, let alone whether they've got houses. So if you're after what it should be focusing on today, it's making sure that our people have food and shelter. And so then we can start talking about what we can put aside or what we can invest for the next generation. That time horizon is just not there when the government is only focused on itself, its own little accounting books, its own spreadsheets. And it may sound good for the financiers, but it's no good for you and me, let alone the next generation we're trying to bring up.
Would you say that's a solid F on the report, you know, in terms of their performance over the last few years since they've been in power?
I hesitate to put grades on them,
Okay.
but it's down there.
Yeah.
But it's actually no different to what we've had in the past, and that's the sad element. We've actually, in some areas, we've actually gone backwards from what we were gathering in terms of pace in the last sort of, I suppose, the 10 years before COVID hit us. We were progressing slowly but surely towards something that was going to encourage us to lift for the future. We could say that COVID was more than a little blip, but we were continuing to invest in our people. Sadly, the last few years we've gone back to the past. We've used this word austerity, which is unfortunate because austerity has never delivered anything. It hasn't even delivered what it was supposed to, which was government financials. And so that's where I'm extremely disappointed with the performance of this government.
Let's talk Māori economy.
Sure.
There seems to be some movement there. What have you made of the movements in spite of this government's sort of economic settings and policies that they've put in place?
Well, in spite of the settings, the Māori economy, or whatever you want, operators within the Māori economy have contributed well to their own performance as well as to the performance of the country, especially in that export field, in terms of producing and delivering for the export market. But I think there are, let's be honest, there are undoubted tensions within the Māori economy, within organisations and enterprises and corporations within the Māori economy in terms of delivering the bottom line, in terms of, dare I say, profit or returns, and or delivering for their own whānau in terms of workers for today and for the future. And it's a mirror of the tensions within the country at the moment. We've got some who are doing really well, but we've got a lot who are struggling, and we need to confront that, be open with it, not run away from that challenge, as many Māori and your tūpuna will undoubtedly have told us that it is how we look after our people that is most important, and how we look after our whenua. And those two things go together. Many Māori organisations and corporations are doing that and are doing the hard yards. It's ensuring that we don't take our focus off that, rather than, dare I say, go for the quick wins. And that's where I would encourage not just Māori organisations, but all organisations to focus on that long haul. The quick wins it might feel good, make us feel good, but when those quick wins are at the expense of our people, like quick wins where we fail to put up the minimum wage, or quick wins to lay off some people and make the profit and loss account look good, those are quick wins, but they will hurt us in the long haul. And the reassurance or the hope that I have with many Māori organisations that I see are retaining that focus on the long haul. It's a struggle. It needs to be a struggle for all of us. But once we get it right, to retain that sustained focus on the long haul, and in that long haul means investment.
I just recently went to China and Japan, and one is technologically way ahead, just from my eyes, and well, both of them really. How far behind is our economy in terms of where the world's economies are?
Well, it depends on what you mean. Sorry to approach this conversation, but it depends on what you mean by economy. And that, I think, is something that we've got to have a conversation about. We've got to challenge that word economy, because when you talk to, and I don't want to be at all offensive, but you talk to ordinary people and the economy is sort of number one, but they're always talking about what they really mean is financials.
Yes.
But to me, to you and me, well, it should be, the economy is not about the financials. It's about the resource kete that we have available to us to deliver well-being. And it may sound academic, or well-being, or hauora, or whatever you might want to put in there. What is your purpose of this thing that you call economy? You know, what's the objective? And then I can respond with the measure about how well we're doing. If you're just talking financials, which is what the commentariat love to talk about, we're sort of okay. You know, there's this dark scenario about how the country's bankrupt and we owe a whole lot. That's rubbish. We're okay on that, but we're not doing as good as we probably should be. But it's that resource kete, you know, the stuff that we inherited from our tupuna and the stuff we're going to leave as a legacy for our mokopuna and supersoil. That's the economy. Are we looking after our land? Are we looking after our people? Are we looking after the communities? Are we looking after the bricks and mortar, the buildings, the roofs over our heads, the water? All of those things, that's where I struggle in terms of that economy. My objective is to look after that kete that we inherited and pass it on in a better state. At the moment, I'll be honest, I'm not comfortable with passing on what we had, because I think we've made it a lot worse. My generation have got a lot to answer for in terms of what we've done to our bricks and mortar, to the buildings, to the water, to the land. To be honest, we've exploited and extracted as much as we can out of it. In the accountant's perspective, we've bled the asset dry. We need to reinvest in those assets, or people don't like using the word assets, but we need to reinvest in our people, in our infrastructure, all of those sorts of things. It's a hard ask, but we've bled it dry. We've actually got to push back and say, okay, now's the time to reinvest in it. It's a bit hard to ask the youngsters to invest because they haven't seen any of the benefits. Using my generation as the example, we've creamed off all the benefits. It's now up to my generation to actually say, well, actually, we need to give back now if we're serious about leaving this place better for our moko.
One thing that I saw in China, we seem to have this problem around infrastructure that you remember, that you mentioned. We seem to be making more road cones than we are filling up potholes. And I never saw one road cone while I was in, say, Shanghai, and I've been there twice.
Sure.
It's moved. They've got green license plates saying they've moved to an electronic hybrid, and that's in such a short period of time.
Sure.
My thing is that why don't you say they're good at building roads? They've transitioned in a short period of time. How come we can't just get the Chinese or the Japanese who know how to do transport to build the infrastructure? Because I see the same road cones still on the same state highway, just off the Kaimais when I'm heading to Tito. It's been there for 3 years and it doesn't look like it's moving.
Because, lots of questions in there to ask, but I think that the critical element is our government and our community's short-term time horizon. And so we knee-jerk response to whatever crisis is with a quick fix. We want to fix it. So we quick fix it so the road cones go away for 30 days and then they come back because the potholes haven't been fixed. And then we find something else. So we yearn for the quick fix, which is usually the cheapest fix, and it's not going to last us for the long haul, but it makes us feel good for the first 30 days. And that's what and so until you and me and the community, and it's easy to blame government, and yes, I will blame government, but it's also you and me, stop asking for that quick fix.
Yeah.
shift our mindset, and I don't, talking to the converted, Māori should be comfortable with this conversation about the long haul. I'm told Māori have a kaupapa about intergeneration wellbeing. Now's the time to talk about, now's the time to put that in action and translate or converse with the Crown about that intergeneration kaupapa, because that's my biggest hope for Aotearoa in the next century, is that Māori lead the nation away from the short-term quick fix mentality towards something that's serious about the legacy that we're leaving. So yes, we can call in favours or call in the best and brightest from other parts of the world, but I'd much rather we invest in our tamariki now to put them in that mindset so they have the skills to pick up the best from the brightest from other parts of the world, as well as our own science and expertise and knowledge and experiences that we have here, and build not just the roads, but the public highways, the new ways of transport, whatever that might be, the drones, the other infrastructure, whether it be AI, robotics, and everything else, so that we can, dare I say, look after our whenua. Because we've got a whole lot of effort in terms of fixing the water. That's simple, ideally should be simple, let alone not far from here in Pōneke, we've got sewage literally going out into the Cook Strait because we haven't fixed fixed our sewage pipes. Those sorts of things in a first world country like Aotearoa, that we claim to be a first world developed country, should not be happening. So that's the mindset, and we're looking to other parts of the world, but we've got a model here in Aotearoa that we could look to as well. And the first line in that model is the future rather than the past. So we fix roads, but are we just fixing the roads from 50 years ago? I would much rather build infrastructure for the next 50 years rather than build infrastructure looking backwards for the past 50 years. The roading infrastructure, roads were okay to build last year or the year before, but is more roads or more potholes really the thing that's going to set us up for the next 50 years? Or do we have to do something different? And okay, if we do it different, we might fall over, we might do something wrong, we might make some mistakes, but that's part of learning. We don't point fingers when we make mistakes. We learn from that mistake and do it better the next time round, rather than trying to point fingers and say, nah, we're doing it wrong, we've got to go back to the past. And that's again, it's that challenge. And we can easily point to government of whatever colour, but let's get past this mentality of finding an excuse, so we want a quick win, or finding a reason why we can't do it, or we can't do it, we've got to see the other side of the world do it when we can't afford it, or finding someone to blame, which is, blame government or blame someone else, which is fine, but how does that set us up for the future? So let's take everything that's good out of this. We know what we've got good, the sun's shining, it's that sort of stuff. We've got a lot of good in Aotearoa. We've learnt a lot from our tūpuna. Bring that frontwards and let's turn towards whatever the star on the horizon that we want to head towards, rather than looking for the quick fix or looking for someone else to blame.
That's awesome. We'll just go to, I just want to play this track in terms of how do you spend investing in like safety, security. We've had so many sort of issues. There was a recent one with a bus attack, assault, whatever the words are that are being used around it. So let's play that track. I'll come back and we'll just sort of look at that spend around justice, because also I'm interested in the treaty, like the government's treaty agenda. How much is that costing us, even though, but I would not ask that question. So let's watch this track. It's Tārawhi Black here from Tuia with a assault on a bus in Auckland.
Anei te huna nanakia I hopu I te pahi I tāmaki nei.
Takes 3 of you to hit one guy. 3 of you to hit one guy.
Ka rono hoki koe I tētahi atu kei taua pahi e takariri ana ki te māpū tamatāne mo te mahi tūkino. Anei rātou e tahuri ana ka patuara watia I te kuiara.
I seen on the net, this lady Nettie, she chucked up a video of about 4 young'uns. They were beating up this old lady on the bus. I don't know the backstory about it, but all I knew was they were getting exposed on the net for like beating her up on the bus,
Gee, why were you recording? Oh, because, bro. Gee, don't do that, Gee. So, what about you, Gee?
Kei roto a Charlie Ray Henry rātou kua ana hoa i tētahi krapū e ke pahikara e ki ana ko te Pain Party. I te ahiahi o te rātapu ka tūpono atu rātou ki tētahi o nā tamatāne nei i te tauna tereina o te ukutoia.
The group I was with, we kept the thing, we made them do some press-ups.
Push up, push up. So what happened, Gee? What happened, Gee?
We kind of shamed them a little bit. We shouldn't have done that, but we thought it was the most appropriate way.
Ka puta mātou ki nā tūrana pahi ki te pātai mena, kua māta ki te haukai nei nā ataata tūkino mā te ipurani.
Yes, I saw it. I think it was honestly completely disgusting.
It was good to see that there was some justice for that older lady put in.
I reckon we do need some steps in a different direction to kind of educate these boys into maybe not making these choices next time.
I whakapātu nā kai whakahaere waka ki nā prihimana, kua tuku nātu nā whakaahua mai te CCTV, hei whakahaere i a rātou uiuitana.
Whatever it is, bro, you're going through at home or whatever you went through, you know, there's always time to change. Try to teach them young before you get into a man and think that's all good. Don't do that, okay?
Yeah, right. Sorry, bro.
All right, Chief. All right. Make the right choices, okay? Okay, my bro?
E tumana ko ana ka korea no tēnei momotu ki no tana e ki te kiruna i nā tereina waka o Tāmaki Makaurau. Taro Black, Mātuia.
Nau mai hoki mai e te iwi, ko te pūrongo tērā Tāroi Black o Tuia, mō tētahi kaupapa tūkino i rungu nā pahi. Just off the back of that one, Dr Ganesh, in regards to our rangatahi, in regards to sort of safety of community, following that incident, Auckland Transport immediately sort of put out a transport officers, safety welfare officers on those particular routes where the incident took place. What is the cost of not looking after our rangatahi or not supporting them, or you know, yeah, I know this is a big question.
Sure.
These big questions.
Yeah. Well, again, without us answering a question with another question, but the thing is about what do you mean by cost? And the financial costs are easily calculated, and you've got a spreadsheet, and it's relatively simple. And you know, the number that scares me, living daylights out of me, is it costs, I think it's $150,000 to lock one person up for a year. And is that really a sensible way of doing things? Because
it's more than people make.
Yeah, and that doesn't actually achieve anything, because even then we've got what's called the recidivism rate, because you know, people who leave prison generally go back fairly quickly thereafter, and so that cost is scares some people, but the biggest cost is the underlying the breakdown in social cohesion, the intergeneration, hurt that comes. You've now got a rangatahi who is excluded from our community, and then they come back into it trying to be included, but that's the very hard ask, and then that perpetuates down through whānau. And we've had this for so long, for lots of reasons, as I'm sure we could go down if you'd like, but that would be another half an hour at the least. But that approach to safety, that approach to law and order, that approach to crime, you've got two options, you know, lock them up or actually go to the underlying drivers. And when I was at the Productivity Commission, we did a lot of work on what we called a fair chance for all, which are looking at some of those underlying drivers, the cost of exclusion, of persistent disadvantage across generations. If we're serious about looking at those underlying drivers, again, it's that long haul. We've got to seriously look at the investment in our people and the data is quite clear. The future of our people, or the future of a person, can be relatively easily predicted depending on the first 1,000 days of their life, which is the first 3 years. It includes the 9 months of pregnancy. So if you're serious about investing, you know, you can plan we know where that person heads by the time they've turned 3 years.
Yeah.
So investing when they're 16 years old is way too late.
Right.
We've got to invest in our kura. We've got to invest in the early childhood stuff. We've got to invest in the mothers we've got to invest in their mental health, in their whānau, to make sure there is food on the table, to make sure there is supports around them. All of that investment gives you the benefits over the lifetime and into the next generation. It's providing people with hope that there is a future, that there's something to, dare I say, something to invest in, some element of hope, something to yearn for, some star on the horizon that they say, that's where we're heading, that's worthwhile, that's where we're going. And you build that into a community, into whānau, and into tamariki, and so on. But that's the long haul. And believe me, that gives you benefits that are way, way more than the spend that we have to do every year in terms of police, in terms of courts, in terms of imprisonment. And that's it's the easy option to go down that route because it makes us feel good. Oh, we've done something good. We've done something. We've seen this crime, we've done something, we've locked them up. And it makes us feel good for a bit.
Yeah.
For the next, but what about the harm into the future? And so, again, the first two things is make sure people have food and make sure they've got shelter over their roofs. And then hopefully they've got a family and a community. Those are things that, and it sounds woolly and it sounds, difficult to measure.
Well, you're the economist.
Somebody says, what's economics got to do with it? But that's the kete that we've got to work with. It's very hard, when I was at the Productivity Commission, it's very hard to talk to a whānau who can't put food on the table, talk to them about productivity. It's meaningless to them if they can't put food. It's a lot easier to talk about productivity when they've got a full belly, got shelter over them, and they've got a family support, and they say, okay, what sort of jobs are out there? How can I be productive? How can I contribute and give back to the community? That's the story that we've got to get into. That's the conversation. Setting up business, great. How can you talk to a whānau that've got no food on the table about setting up business? We've got to get those fundamentals right.
Do you think the government's going to get those right tomorrow in their budget announcements?
Well, I've heard murmurs about early childhood education. I suspect it's probably sticking plaster over because, to be honest, if we're talking about early childhood education, we've got to talk about the teachers.
Yeah.
And so are we investing in, they might say here's a whole lot more dollars for early childhood spaces, but where are the people, where are the teachers to put in front of our tamariki? Or are we going to go the quick route of just throw them in front of a whole pile of untrained babysitters? And that's, to me, that's not the right approach, but it might look good for the short haul.
Well, we'll be able to see tomorrow. So thank you very much for letting me into your whare, into your dining room, to have this little quick kōrero. And I look forward to going through the numbers with you tomorrow in Locker. And I just wanted to have this kōrero just so that we can sort of preface what's going to happen, so that we can see if any of those fundamental changes do pop out in the government's budget announcements tomorrow. So any sort of closing words? Well, are we going to... do you feel like you already know what's going to happen tomorrow?
I'll preface it, I am cynical, but that's partly because of not just the last couple of years, but the last 30 years. So I'll be looking for something that gives me a star to point towards. Is there a star on the horizon we're heading towards? Other than something vague like we're going to grow the economy, which everybody has said for the last 30 years, and that hasn't solved anything. So, I'm cynical. I think the other element, obviously, I've got to say this, and I want to say this, is Te Tiriti is central for me. I don't expect anything out of tomorrow about Te Tiriti. My worry is I'm hoping that there's something out there that backs up a commitment to Te Tiriti, so I'll be interested in funding for the Waitangi Tribunal and the legal aid budget that goes with that, but I'm not optimistic, sadly.
Just quickly, lastly, the cost of the sort of the government tinkering with what they're saying is to clarify parts, the treaty applications and 90 odd laws. We've seen Winston Peters promote English is now number one in all government departments and te reos Number two is, are those a big costs or?
They're serious costs to our breakdown in social cohesion, social contract. You know, doing that may have been okay if they'd engaged with Māori beforehand. That if we're serious about, you know, the partnership, the treaty wasn't written by the Crown, so the Crown have no right to rewrite it. The treaty wasn't written by Māori, so they had no right to rewrite it. It was written by both. So if anybody's going to rewrite it, it's got to be both of them together, genuine partnership. I don't see any signal there that this Crown is willing to engage in a genuine conversation, kōrero, with Māori about what the treaty means and how we can engage in it. What I will give is Māori are well down that track already with Ngāti Ki Mai and other conversations. So I would encourage Crown to talk to Māori genuinely rather than pretend it knows all the answers and is going to rewrite it itself.
Ka pai, tēnā koe. We'll leave it there, Dr. Ganesh. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll go through the details. Kāti, ko mutu wā māua kōrero mō tēnei wā. He paku whawhewhawhe mō te āhuatanga o te tahua pūtea me ngā nama ka ki te tātou. Mena he oranga kei reira mō ngā hapori Māori, mena Kāori, mena he nuna muni kei te taka atu ki te whakatairanga i te tiriti o Waitangi. Hea hātu, e rei anō. Hoki mai anō, ka kōrero anō mātou ki Dr. Ganesh Pōpō, ka hara mai ka tauratu mātou ki te whare mire. We'll see you tomorrow from Parliament, where Dr. will be joining us to help us understand the numbers. Clearly, I'm not an accountant nor an economist, so whilst I've got some pet things I want to look at, like mātauranga you brought up, you know, mokopuna tamariki, that's something that I'm really keen to have an eye on as well. But thank you for joining us in this pre-budget kōrero today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Ngā mihi, hei kona rā i te whānau. Thank you for that.